The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon in Lisbon, Portugal, casting long shadows across the worn-out football field behind St. Maria's children's home. The morning dew still clung to the patchy grass, and the rusty goalposts stood as silent witnesses to countless dreams kicked around by the 30 children who called this place home. Little did these kids know that this ordinary Thursday morning would become the most extraordinary day of their lives. In his signature black SUV, Cristiano Ronaldo sat quietly, looking at the humble building through tinted windows. His heart felt heavy yet full of purpose. He had read about this particular orphanage in a local newspaper, about their passion for football despite having just 2 worn-out balls shared among all the children. "Are you sure you don't want the media here?" his manager whispered from the front seat. Ronaldo shook his head, a gentle smile playing on his lips. "Some moments are meant to be pure," he replied, remembering his own childhood when football was his only escape from poverty. As he stepped out of the car, carrying several bags filled with brand-new footballs, he could hear the excited chatter of children during their morning assembly. The home's caretaker, Ms. Rodriguez, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, stood at the entrance, trying her best to contain her emotions. They had been told a special guest was coming, but none of the kids knew who. The assembly hall fell silent as Ronaldo walked in. For a moment, time stood still. Then, chaos erupted. The children's eyes widened in disbelief, some rubbing them as if trying to wake up from a dream. A small boy in the front row, no more than 7, wearing a faded Ronaldo jersey that was clearly handed down through many owners, simply stood there with his mouth open. "Good morning, champions." Ronaldo's voice filled the room with warmth. "I heard this is where some of Portugal's most passionate footballers train." The children looked at each other, giggling nervously. Their training consisted of taking turns with their 2 old balls on a patchy field. Ms. Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice slightly shaking. "These children, football is their life. Even with so little, they never miss a day of practice. Some even wake up at dawn to get extra time with the ball." Ronaldo walked among the children, high-fiving some, hugging others. He stopped at the small boy in his jersey, kneeling down to meet his eyes. "What's your name, champion?" "Gabriel," the boy whispered, his voice barely audible. "Gabriel, do you know what I see when I look at you? I see myself at your age. I didn't have much either, but I had dreams. Big dreams." Ronaldo reached into one of the bags he'd brought, pulling out a brand new football. Gabriel's eyes lit up like stars. But that was just the beginning. One by one, Ronaldo started distributing footballs to every child. Their faces transformed with joy as they held their very own balls, not borrowed, not shared, but their own. Some hugged the balls close to their chests, while others just stared at them in wonder. "Today," Ronaldo announced, standing in the center of the room, "we're going to train together. But first, I want you to know something." He paused, making eye contact with each child. "Where you come from doesn't determine where you can go. Your circumstances don't define your potential. What matters is your heart, your dedication, and your dreams." The morning sun now streamed fully through the windows, illuminating the room filled with hope and possibility. Ms. Rodriguez wiped tears from her eyes as she watched Ronaldo lead the excited children toward the football field. This wasn't just about football, it was about showing these children that they mattered, that their dreams were valid, that someone they looked up to saw worth in them. As they stepped onto the field, the morning dew had evaporated, leaving the grass ready for what would become an unforgettable training session. The old, patchy field was about to witness something magical, not just football training, but the awakening of dreams in young hearts who dared to believe. The morning air buzzed with excitement as Ronaldo gathered the children in a circle on the field. Some clutched their new footballs tightly, still hardly believing they were real. The football legend started with something unexpected. He sat down on the grass, inviting the children to do the same. The perfectly manicured grass of grand stadiums was replaced by this humble patch of earth, yet Ronaldo's smile suggested he felt right at home. "Before we start training," he began, his voice gentle but carrying across the field, "I want to hear your stories. Who wants to tell me about their favorite football moment?" Hands shot up instantly, enthusiasm overcoming shyness. A 10-year-old boy named Antonio, with scraped knees and determination in his eyes, spoke first. "Last month, I scored my first goal." His voice trembled with pride. "We were using our old ball, and it didn't bounce right, but I kept trying and trying until it went in." Ronaldo's eyes sparkled. "That's exactly how champions are made, Antonio. It's not about having the best equipment, it's about having the biggest heart." He turned to the group. "Who else has a story to share?" A quiet girl at the back, Rosa, raised her hand hesitantly. She was wearing boys' football shorts that were clearly too big for her, held up by a makeshift belt. I practice at night sometimes, when everyone's asleep. I use bunched-up socks as a ball because I don't want to wear out the shared ones." Her cheeks flushed red, but Ronaldo's response made her sit up straighter. "That's incredible dedication, Rosa. Did you know I used to do the same thing? When I couldn't sleep, would practice my footwork with anything I could find, oranges, wadded-up paper, anything that could roll." He stood up, demonstrating a simple trick with the ball. "Sometimes, the most creative solutions make us better players." The training session began with basic warm-ups, but Ronaldo made even these simple exercises feel special. He showed them how to stretch properly, explaining why each movement was important. The children followed his lead with intense concentration, mimicking his every move as if they were memorizing a sacred dance. Then came the real magic. Ronaldo divided them into small groups, ensuring each child got personal attention. He noticed little details, how Gabriel favored his right foot too much, how Rosa had natural talent for ball control but lacked confidence, how Antonio's enthusiasm sometimes made him rush his shots. "Remember," he called out, demonstrating a simple dribbling technique, "football is like life. Sometimes you need to slow down to go fast. Feel the ball, make it your friend." He worked with each group, adjusting his teaching style to match each child's needs. For some, he used humor to ease their nervousness. For others, he provided quiet encouragement that built their confidence. Ms. Rodriguez watched from the sidelines, taking photos with her old phone. She knew these pictures would soon cover the walls of their home, becoming daily reminders that dreams can take shape even on a worn-out football field. During a water break, Ronaldo gathered everyone again. "You know what I see here?" he asked, looking around at the flushed, happy faces. "I see future champions. Not just in football, but in life. Each of you has something special inside." He pointed to his heart. "The real game happens here first. The feet just follow what the heart believes." The morning progressed, and with each passing hour, the children's movements became more confident. Even the shyest ones were now calling out to their teammates, organizing mini-plays just as Ronaldo had taught them. The football legend watched with satisfaction as natural leaders emerged, as friendships strengthened through teamwork, as individual skills blossomed under proper guidance. He paid special attention to those who struggled the most. There was young Luis, who had difficulty with his coordination but showed remarkable persistence. Ronaldo spent extra time with him, breaking down each movement into smaller, manageable steps. "You remind me of myself," he told Luis quietly. "People used to say I was too skinny, too small. But every day, I worked harder than the day before." The sun climbed higher in the sky, but nobody seemed to notice the heat. They were all lost in the joy of learning, of playing, of being seen and valued. Ronaldo shared stories between exercises, not just about his victories, but about his struggles too. He told them about the lonely nights of training, the times he wanted to give up, the moments of doubt that he had to overcome. "Your background doesn't define your future," he repeated, words that seemed to sink deeper each time they were spoken. What matters is your dedication, your passion, and your willingness to work harder than anyone else. As the morning session drew to a close, Ronaldo had one more surprise. He pulled out professional training bibs in different colors, enough for everyone. Now, he announced with a grin, we're going to have our first official match. Show me everything you've learned today. The children's eyes lit up as they divided into teams, proudly pulling on their bibs. These weren't just ordinary training vests, they were symbols of legitimacy, of belonging to the world of real football. Even those who usually held back were eager to participate, transformed by the morning's lessons in confidence and skill. The field that had seen countless makeshift games was about to witness something extraordinary, a match where every player, regardless of skill level, felt like a champion. As Ronaldo took his position as referee, whistle in hand, the air crackled with anticipation. This wasn't just about football anymore, it was about 30 young hearts daring to dream bigger than they ever had before. The match began with Ronaldo's whistle, and instantly, the old field came alive with newfound energy. The children, dressed in their colored bibs, moved with purpose, applying the morning's lessons with determined concentration. The blue team, led by the spirited Antonio, took possession first, while Rosa captained the red team with quiet authority. Gabriel, the youngest player on the field, surprised everyone with his quick footwork, the very techniques Ronaldo had shown him just hours before. His small frame darted between older players, the oversized jersey fluttering behind him like a cape. When he managed to complete a perfect pass to his teammate, Ronaldo's applause echoed across the field. "Excellent vision, Gabriel," Ronaldo called out, jogging alongside the play. "That's exactly what we practiced, keep your head up, see the whole field." The boy's chest swelled with pride, his confidence growing with each touch of the ball. On the sidelines, Ms. Rodriguez couldn't help but notice the transformation. Children who usually hung back were now calling for passes. Luis, who had struggled with coordination, was positioning himself perfectly as a defender, using his body just as Ronaldo had taught him. Every few minutes, she heard Ronaldo's encouraging voice giving tips and praise, turning mistakes into learning moments. "Remember to support each other," Ronaldo called out as Rosa received the ball. "Football is about teamwork, we rise together." The girl, who hours ago had been too shy to speak up, now gestured confidently to her teammates, organizing an attack pattern they had practiced. The first goal came unexpectedly. Luis, the struggling defender, intercepted a pass and, without hesitation, sent a long ball forward. Antonio caught it perfectly, just as Ronaldo had shown them during training. Time seemed to slow down as the boy faced the goalkeeper. In that moment, the patchy field transformed into a grand stadium in his mind, the morning sun became floodlights, and the small crowd of onlookers turned into thousands of cheering fans. With a calm that surprised even himself, Antonio executed the simple shooting technique Ronaldo had demonstrated. The ball curved beautifully into the top corner of the net. For a moment, everything went silent, then erupted in cheers. Ronaldo was the first to reach Antonio, lifting him onto his shoulders as teammates rushed to celebrate. "That," Ronaldo announced to everyone, "is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Did you see how he kept his composure? How he remembered his training under pressure? That's the mark of a true player." The game continued with growing intensity. The red team, not to be outdone, rallied behind Rosa's leadership. She organized her defense and midfield just as they had practiced, creating a solid foundation for counterattacks. When she finally threaded a perfect pass through the defense, her teammate Carlos finished it with a powerful shot that drew gasps from everyone watching. Ronaldo's excitement was contagious. He celebrated every good play, regardless of which team made it, turning each moment into a lesson. "See how Rosa created space," he would explain. "Watch Carlos's follow-through on that shot." The children absorbed every word, their play becoming more refined with each passing minute. As the game progressed, something magical happened. The children stopped playing just for themselves and began playing for each other. Passes became more frequent, communication improved, and celebration of teammates' success became natural. Even when mistakes happened, players encouraged each other instead of showing frustration. Near the end of the match, a beautiful sequence unfolded. The blue team strung together 10 consecutive passes, each player touching the ball exactly as they had practiced. When the ball finally reached Gabriel, the youngest player on the field, everyone held their breath. The boy took a touch, remembered Ronaldo's words about confidence, and struck the ball with all his might. The ball sailed through the air in a perfect arc, catching the sunlight as it dipped under the crossbar. The goalkeeper's fingertips brushed it, but couldn't prevent the goal. The entire field erupted in celebration, both teams cheering for the magnificent play they had just witnessed. Ronaldo called the teams together before the final whistle. "This isn't just about scoring goals," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Look around you. Look at how you've supported each other, how you've grown together. That's what football is about, it's about lifting each other up, about becoming better together." Ms. Rodriguez noticed tears in some of the children's eyes, not from sadness, but from the pure joy of being part of something bigger than themselves. These weren't just orphans playing a game anymore, they were a team, a family, united by their love for football and the belief that someone like Ronaldo had instilled in them. The final whistle blew, and the score hardly seemed to matter. Both teams had won in ways that couldn't be measured by goals. They had won confidence, friendship, and the knowledge that they were capable of so much more than they had imagined. As they gathered for a final huddle, sweaty and tired but beaming with happiness, Ronaldo had one more lesson to share. "Today, you played like champions," he said, looking at each child in turn. "Not because of the goals you scored, but because of how you played together, how you supported each other, how you never gave up. Remember this feeling. Remember that this is who you are, champions in the game of football and in the game of life." The children formed a tight circle, arms around each other's shoulders. The mourning strangers had become teammates, and teammates had become family. Even the usually reserved Ms. Rodriguez joined the huddle, her heart full at seeing her children so transformed. "One last thing," Ronaldo said, his voice gentle but firm. "This isn't the end. This is just the beginning. Every time you step onto this field, remember today. Remember that you have it in you to play like champions, to support each other, to dream big. The real training starts tomorrow, will you be ready?" The response was unanimous, a resounding yes, that echoed across the field and into the hearts of everyone present. As they broke the huddle, each child stood a little taller, walked a little more confidently, knowing that they had been part of something truly special, not just a football match, but a moment that would change their lives forever. As the excitement of the match settled, Ronaldo gathered the children in the shade of an old oak tree that stood at the edge of the field. The afternoon sun had grown warm, and water bottles were passed around as tired but happy players caught their breath. This quiet moment after the game would prove to be just as meaningful as the match itself. "Before we go inside," Ronaldo began, sitting cross-legged on the grass, "I want to share something personal with you." The children leaned in closer, their faces still flushed from the game. "When I was your age, living in Madeira, I had a coach who believed in me. He saw something in me that others didn't, maybe something I didn't even see in myself yet." He paused, picking up one of the new footballs and turning it in his hands. "Today, I saw that same spark in each of you. But what matters most isn't what I saw, it's what you discovered about yourselves." Rosa, who had played with such unexpected confidence during the match, raised her hand shyly. "I always thought I wasn't good enough because I'm a girl," she admitted. "But today, when you taught us about positioning and strategy, I realized football isn't just about being the strongest." Ronaldo nodded encouragingly. "Football is about intelligence, dedication, and heart. Some of the best players I know are women who understand the game better than anyone. He turned to the group. Who else learned something about themselves today? Luis, the defender who had struggled earlier, spoke up. I used to think I was too slow to be good at football. But you showed me how to use my body position to defend better. I stopped 3 attacks today. His voice carried a new note of pride. That's exactly right, Ronaldo replied. Each of you has unique strengths. The trick is finding them and building on them. He stood up, demonstrating a defensive stance. Luis, show everyone that blocking technique we practiced. As Luis demonstrated the move, Ronaldo explained how different body types could be advantages in different positions. The children watched intently, seeing their own potential in a new light. Antonio, still buzzing from his goal, couldn't contain himself. But Mr. Ronaldo, how do you handle the pressure? When I was about to take that shot, my legs were shaking. Ronaldo's laugh was warm and genuine. You want to know a secret? My legs still shake sometimes before big moments. The children's eyes widened at this revelation. The difference is, I've learned to use those nerves as fuel. When you feel that pressure, it means you're about to do something important. He pulled out his phone and showed them a video of one of his famous penalty kicks. Watch my breathing here, he pointed out. 3 deep breaths before every important moment. It's not about not being nervous, it's about channeling those nerves into focus. The children practiced the breathing technique together, giggling as they exaggerated the deep breaths. But Ronaldo knew they would remember this lesson when they needed it most. Gabriel, the youngest, had been quiet since the match ended. Ronaldo noticed him clutching his new football like a precious treasure. Gabriel, come here for a moment, he called softly. The boy approached, still wearing his oversized Ronaldo jersey. That goal you scored, Ronaldo began, reminded me of my first goal in professional football. Would you like to know why? Gabriel nodded eagerly. Because just like you, I was the smallest player on the field. But also like you, I didn't let that stop me. He reached into his bag and pulled out something that made Gabriel's eyes grow wide, a full-sized Portugal national team jersey. This is from my personal collection, Ronaldo said, signing it carefully. When you wear this, remember, it's not about being the biggest or strongest. It's about believing in yourself. Ms. Rodriguez watched as tears welled up in Gabriel's eyes. This wasn't just about football anymore, it was about hope, about possibility, about seeing a future beyond the walls of the orphanage. Ronaldo had one more surprise for the group. He pulled out a laptop and opened a video call. On the screen appeared several of his teammates from the Portuguese national team. The children gasped as their heroes waved and offered words of encouragement. These are your new fans, Ronaldo told the stunned children. They watched clips of your training and match today. They wanted to meet the future stars of Portuguese football. The next 15 minutes were filled with questions, advice, and laughter as the professional players shared their own stories of overcoming obstacles. Each child got to ask a question, creating connections that would inspire them long after this day ended. As the call ended, Ronaldo gathered everyone for a final announcement. Your journey doesn't end today, he declared. I've arranged for a professional youth coach to visit twice a week. The equipment we use today, it's all staying here. This is your academy now. Ms. Rodriguez covered her mouth in surprise as Ronaldo continued. But remember, this isn't just about becoming better footballers. It's about becoming better people. Supporting each other. Believing in yourselves. The real work begins tomorrow. He gestured to the field behind them, where the evening sun cast long shadows across the grass. This field might not look like much to others, but from today on, it's your Campo dos Sonhos, your field of dreams. Every great story starts somewhere. This is your beginning. The children looked at their field with new eyes. The patchy grass and rusty goals were transformed by possibility. They saw beyond the present moment to a future full of potential. As they prepared to head inside, Ronaldo had each child place their hand on a new football. "Make me a promise," he said solemnly. "Promise that you'll never give up on your dreams, no matter how big they seem. Promise that you'll support each other, in victory and defeat. And promise that you'll remember that where you come from doesn't determine where you can go." One by one, the children made their promise, their voices growing stronger with each declaration. The sun was setting on their field, but for these 30 young hearts, it felt like a new dawn. The evening at St. Maria's Children's Home transformed into an unexpected celebration. The kitchen, usually quiet and orderly, buzzed with excitement as Ronaldo's personal chef and his team arrived with ingredients for a special dinner. The aroma of traditional Portuguese dishes filled the air, mixing with the sounds of laughter and animated conversation. "Today, we feast like champions," Ronaldo announced, helping to set up tables in the dining hall. The children watched in amazement as he rolled up his sleeves and joined them in arranging plates and cutlery. Even in this simple task, he showed them the importance of teamwork and humility. The dining hall, typically plain and functional, had been decorated with strings of warm lights that the staff had quickly put up. Photographs from the day's training and match were already being projected on one wall, a continuous slideshow of moments that would soon become precious memories. "Before we eat," Ronaldo said, standing at the head of the long table, "I want us to do something special." He pulled out a large, leather-bound book. "This is going to be your team's journal. Each of you will write down one thing you learned today and one dream you have for the future." The book was passed around the table as the mouth-watering dishes were being served. Each child took their time writing their thoughts, some drawing little pictures alongside their words. The usually restless dinner crowd was focused and thoughtful. Luis wrote about learning that being different wasn't a weakness. Rosa drew a small picture of herself wearing a professional team's jersey. Gabriel, with help from Ms. Rodriguez, wrote about his dream of making his future family proud. As they began to eat, Ronaldo shared stories from his own journey, not just the triumphs, but the struggles too. He told them about the times he felt like giving up, about the sacrifices his family made, about the moments of doubt that tested his resolve. "You know what kept me going?" he asked, passing a plate of grilled chicken to Antonio. "It wasn't just the dream of playing football. It was the desire to make life better for my family, to prove that where you come from doesn't limit where you can go." The children listened intently, their food almost forgotten. These weren't just stories, they were blueprints for their own dreams. One of the older boys, Carlos, who had been quiet most of the day, finally spoke up. "Sometimes I feel guilty for dreaming big," he admitted softly. "Like maybe I should focus on more practical things." Ronaldo put down his fork and looked directly at Carlos. "Dreams aren't luxuries," he said firmly. "They're necessities. They give us direction, purpose. But here's the important part, dream big, but work hard. Every day, do something that brings you closer to that dream." The conversation flowed naturally, touching on topics beyond football. They talked about school, about friendship, about facing fears. Ronaldo shared how he balanced his training with education, emphasizing that being a complete person was as important as being a good athlete. Ms. Rodriguez noticed how the children were opening up, sharing thoughts they'd never expressed before. The usual dinner time cliques had dissolved, with children mixing and talking across the table, encouraging each other to try different dishes, sharing their hopes and fears. As dessert was being served, a special Portuguese custard tart that had the children's eyes widening with delight, Ronaldo had another surprise. He pulled out a tablet and showed them a video message from his own children. "See? Even my kids have to practice every day," he said with a laugh as the video showed his son doing football drills. "They have their own dreams, their own challenges. We're all on our own journeys." The evening continued with impromptu singing, with some children teaching Ronaldo their favorite songs from the home, and him sharing some Portuguese football chants. The usually strict dinner schedule was forgotten as the community savored this extraordinary moment. Later, as the younger children began to tire, Ronaldo gathered everyone for one final activity. He handed out small notebooks to each child, personal journals for them to continue recording their journey. "Every great athlete I know keeps a journal," he explained. "Write down your goals, your progress, your setbacks, your victories. Sometimes the biggest opponent we face is the doubt in our own minds. These journals are your way of fighting back." He showed them his own training journal, dog-eared and filled with years of notes, goals, and reflections. The children passed it around carefully, treating it like a sacred text. "But remember," he added with a gentle smile, "some of the most important entries in my journal aren't about football at all. They're about the people who believed in me, the friends who supported me, the moments that shaped me. Your story is bigger than just sports." As the evening wound down, Ms. Rodriguez noticed something remarkable. The children were different, not just excited or happy, but transformed. They carried themselves with new confidence, spoke with fresh purpose, looked at each other with deeper understanding. Before heading to their rooms, each child got a personal moment with Ronaldo. He had a specific word of encouragement for each one, remembering details from their play, their conversations, their written dreams in the team journal. To Rosa, he spoke about leadership and breaking barriers. To Luis, about finding strength in uniqueness. To Gabriel, about the power of persistence. Each conversation was brief but meaningful, tailored to the child's personal journey. The day was ending, but something new was beginning. As the children reluctantly prepared for bed, their new footballs tucked safely beside them, their journals on their bedside tables, there was a tangible sense of possibility in the air. Ms. Rodriguez found Ronaldo standing by the window, looking out at the moonlit football field. "You've given them more than just a day of football," she said softly. "You've given them permission to dream." He smiled, his eyes still on the field. "Dreams are powerful things," he replied. "Sometimes all we need is someone to show us they're possible." He turned to her. "But this is just the beginning. The real journey starts tomorrow." The next morning arrived with a gentle golden light streaming through the windows of St. Maria's Children's Home. Many of the children had barely slept, their minds still racing with memories of the previous day. Some had stayed up writing in their new journals, others had whispered excitedly with their roommates, and a few had simply held their new footballs close, afraid that everything might disappear like a beautiful dream. Ronaldo arrived early, just as the sun was rising. This time, he carried a different kind of bag, one filled with papers, folders, and what looked like official documents. Ms. Rodriguez met him at the door, noting the determined look in his eyes. "Ready to change some lives?" he asked with a warm smile. She nodded, fighting back tears as he shared his plans for the morning. The children were gathered in the assembly hall, still in their pajamas, many clutching their journals from the night before. The excitement of seeing Ronaldo again was mixed with a touch of sadness. They knew this would be their last morning together. "Good morning, champions," Ronaldo began, his voice carrying the same energy as the day before. "Before I leave, we have some important business to discuss." He opened his bag and pulled out several folders. "Yesterday, we talked about dreams. Today, we're going to talk about making those dreams reality." He gestured to a group of people who had quietly entered the room, professional coaches, educational consultants, and representatives from his CR7 Foundation. "First," he announced, "let me introduce Coach Pedro. He will be here 3 times a week, not just twice as I mentioned yesterday. He's not just any coach, he's from the youth academy where I started my journey." The children's eyes widened as the friendly-looking coach waved to them. "But that's not all," Ronaldo continued. "Remember what we talked about yesterday? About being complete people, not just good athletes?" He pulled out more papers from his folder. "Each of you will have access to after-school tutoring. We're setting up a study room with computers, books, and everything you need to excel in your education." Ms. Rodriguez gasped as Ronaldo explained the comprehensive program he was implementing. It wasn't just about football, it was about giving these children every opportunity to succeed in life. "And there's more," he said, his eyes twinkling. "Every month, 2 of you will be selected to attend special training camps with youth academies across Portugal. Selection won't just be based on football skills, it will be about your overall progress, including your studies and how you support your teammates." The children listened in stunned silence as he outlined more details. There would be proper uniforms for everyone, regular health checkups, and even career counseling for the older ones who might want to explore paths beyond football. "But the most important announcement," Ronaldo said, his voice growing serious, "is about family." He looked around the room, making eye contact with each child. "From today, you're not just part of St. Maria's. You're part of my extended family. My foundation will ensure that each of you has what you need to pursue your dreams, whatever they may be." He pulled out a small card for each child, not just any cards, but personalized membership cards for his CR7 Academy. "These cards make it official. You're now part of my team, part of my family." Rosa raised her hand, her voice trembling slightly. "Does this mean, we'll see you again?" Ronaldo's smile was warm and genuine. "I'll be checking in regularly, following your progress. And yes, I'll visit whenever I can. But more than that, I'll be watching your journey from wherever I am in the world." He revealed a special app that had been developed for the children. Through it, they could track their progress, communicate with their coaches, and even send updates directly to Ronaldo himself. "Technology means we're never really far apart," he explained. The morning continued with practical matters. The children were measured for their new uniforms, complete with their names and numbers. They received proper football boots, training gear, and educational supplies. But more than the material gifts, they were receiving something priceless, a support system, a pathway to their dreams. Ronaldo gathered them for a special ceremony. One by one, each child came forward to receive their official welcome package. But instead of just handing them the packages, he had something personal to say to each one. To Luis, he spoke about the importance of self-belief. To Rosa, about breaking barriers. To Gabriel, about the power of persistence. Each child received not just gifts, but words that would stay with them forever. The ceremony culminated in a special moment as Ronaldo unveiled a new sign for their football field. Campo dos Sonhos, Field of Dreams, it read, with a smaller inscription below, where champions begin their journey. This field, Ronaldo said, his voice carrying across the morning air, is now more than just a place to play. It's a place where dreams take root, where champions are born, where futures begin. Every time you step onto it, remember yesterday. Remember what you learned about yourselves, about each other, about what's possible. As the morning progressed, he organized one final activity. Each child wrote a letter to their future self, to be opened 1 year from that day. They sealed these letters in special envelopes, which would be kept safe until the following year. In these letters, Ronaldo explained, you've written your dreams, your fears, your promises to yourselves. In 1 year, we'll read them together, either in person or through our video calls. You'll see how far you've come, how much you've grown. The children carefully placed their letters in a beautiful wooden box that would stay in Ms. Rodriguez's office. It was another bridge to the future, another promise of continuity. As the morning drew to a close, there wasn't sadness in the air, but rather a sense of beginning. These children weren't saying goodbye to a magical day, they were saying hello to a new chapter in their lives. Remember, Ronaldo said in his final address, yesterday wasn't about me. It was about you, about discovering who you are and who you can become. The real journey begins now. Every morning when you wake up, ask yourself, what would a champion do today? How can I move closer to my dreams? How can I help others move closer to theirs? The time for goodbye had finally arrived, but it felt different from what anyone had expected. The morning sun had climbed higher in the sky, casting warm light across the Campo dos Sonhos, where 30 children stood in their new training gear, looking more like a proper football academy than orphanage residents. "Before I leave," Ronaldo said, gathering everyone for one final moment, "I want to share something I've never told anyone before." The children huddled closer, their new boots squeaking on the grass. "When I was your age, I had a dream that seemed impossible. Not just about football, but about making a difference in the world." He paused, looking at the eager faces around him. "That dream scared me sometimes. It felt too big, too far away. But every morning, I would look in the mirror and make myself a promise, to work harder today than I did yesterday. That's all I'm asking from each of you. Not to be perfect, not to become me, but to be the best version of yourselves." Ms. Rodriguez noticed how the children stood taller as he spoke, their shoulders back, their eyes bright with purpose. These weren't the same children from 2 days ago. Something fundamental had shifted in their understanding of themselves and their possibilities. Ronaldo had one final surprise. He pulled out his phone and showed them a social media post, a professionally edited video of their training session and match, set to inspiring music. The children gasped as they saw themselves on screen, looking professional and skilled. "This video will be shared with millions of people around the world," he explained. "Not to show what I did, but to show what you did. To show how 30 amazing young people turned a simple football field into a field of dreams." The comments section was already filling up with messages of support from fans worldwide. Professional players had begun sharing it, adding their own words of encouragement. The children's story was spreading, inspiring others they would never meet. "But remember," Ronaldo added quickly, "fame isn't the goal. The goal is growth, improvement, becoming better people. Use this attention to fuel your dreams, not to define them." He then revealed another surprise: a wall in the dining hall had been transformed overnight. Professional photographers had printed and framed dozens of moments from the past 2 days. Action shots from the match, quiet moments of learning, celebrations of goals, and team huddles now created a gallery of memories and inspiration. "This wall," Ronaldo explained, "isn't about the past. It's about the future. Every time you look at these photos, remember what you learned about yourselves. Remember that you're capable of more than you imagine." The children walked along the wall, pointing out moments they remembered, laughing at funny expressions, reliving the magic of the past 2 days. But something was different in how they looked at the photos. They weren't just seeing memories, they were seeing possibilities. Coach Pedro stepped forward to share the weekly schedule he had developed. There would be morning training sessions before school, afternoon homework support, and evening practice. The program was comprehensive, designed to develop not just football skills but character, discipline, and education. "But what about the days when it gets hard?" young Luis asked, voicing what many were thinking. "What about when we feel like giving up?" Ronaldo smiled, appreciating the honest question. "That's why we created your support system. Your teammates, Coach Pedro, Ms. Rodriguez, the tutors, they're all here to help. And remember the app we showed you? I'll be checking in regularly. You can send me messages, share your progress, ask for advice." He demonstrated how the app would work, showing them the different features: progress tracking, skill development modules, educational resources, and a direct communication channel with their new extended family. "And here's something special," he added, showing them a hidden feature. "Every week, I'll send a video message to the team. Sometimes it'll be about football, sometimes about life. Sometimes I'll just share stories from my own journey. You're not alone in this." The morning was drawing to a close, and Ronaldo's team began making final preparations for departure. But before leaving, he had each child make a public declaration, not of their dreams, but of their commitment to the journey. One by one, they stepped forward. Rosa spoke about breaking barriers for other girls in football. Luis talked about turning his differences into strengths. Gabriel, the youngest, simply promised to never give up, his voice small but determined. As each child spoke, Ronaldo wrote their words in the team journal, a record of promises made on this transformative morning. These weren't just casual statements, they were contracts with themselves, witnessed by their new family. There will be hard days, Ronaldo acknowledged, closing the journal. Days when the training feels too tough, when the studying seems too much, when the dreams feel too distant. On those days, come here. Look at these photos. Read your promises. Remember this feeling. He gathered them for one final huddle on their field. The morning sun cast their shadows long across the grass, 30 small shadows and one larger one, all merged together in a circle of hope and possibility. From this moment on, Ronaldo said, his voice carrying across the quiet field, you're not defined by what you don't have, but by what you're becoming. You're not orphans who play football, you're athletes, students, dreamers, champions in the making. The farewell wasn't tearful as many had expected. Instead, it was filled with determination, with purpose, with the understanding that this wasn't an ending but a beginning. Each child hugged Ronaldo, not as a distant idol but as a member of their newfound family. As his car prepared to leave, Ronaldo took one last look at the field, at the new sign gleaming in the sunlight, at the children standing tall in their training gear. He saw something in their eyes that went beyond happiness or gratitude, he saw recognition. Recognition of their own worth, their own potential, their own power to shape their futures. Ms. Rodriguez stood with her children, watching the car disappear down the street. But unlike previous visitors who had come and gone, leaving only memories behind, Ronaldo had left something more tangible, a path forward, a support system, a family. So, Coach Pedro said, clapping his hands together, who's ready for our first official training session? 30 hands shot into the air, 30 voices called out in unison. The sun climbed higher over the Campo dos Sonhos, where a new chapter was beginning. The field that had witnessed so much over the past 2 days would now witness something even more remarkable, the daily transformation of dreams into reality, one practice, one study session, one small victory at a time. The story of 30 orphans and their surprise visit from Cristiano Ronaldo was ending, but the story of 30 young champions was just beginning. And somewhere in the world, a football legend smiled, knowing that his own dream, of making a real difference in the lives of others, had come true on a humble field in Portugal.